Greetings and welcome to Empower 11 Radio. Today is Wednesday, and this is the show we bring to you every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And we're coming to you from Santa Barbara County, USA. My name is Jack Voorhees, and I am here today with my beautiful and talented co-host, Ann Ribley.
Hello there, Jack Voorhees. Happy to be doing the show with you on such a gorgeous day, and we've been through a heat wave here in Santa Barbara County.
Yes, it's a little hot in the studio actually right now, and all these techie things that I'm trying to get working at the same time have giving me a little difficulties today, but we're going to have a good show. I'm really excited about today's show because what is more powerful than manifestation?
Well, I think what's more powerful is really strengthening our powers of manifestation to become congruent with the life we want to create, which is the Empower 11 way, getting who we are on the inside to match the life we want to be living outside in the world.
So when we talk about manifestation, we talk about bringing into form. We talk about how life is unfolding and knowing what we want to manifest and actually acknowledging it, being grateful for it. What is it that comes to mind for you, Anne, when you talk about manifestation?
Well, I mean, manifestation in a general sense is the way life is unfolding. I mean, it is like you put a seed in the ground and a tree manifests. It's like it's an unfoldment that's already occurring. What's really interesting to me is to talk about today is how we're all manifesting. Mm-hmm. But how can we get really that powerful, strengthening aspect where we're manifesting in a way that's in alignment to what we want to be creating in our desires, where we can end this fragmented loop of always circling and revolving around the same patterns that's not really in alignment with manifesting how we want to be unfolding our life and evolving our life.
So what do you think it is that, so much has been talked about manifestation, right? I mean, it's everywhere, and then the law of attraction and all this stuff. But what do you think it's like that there might be of like a misconception out there? What do you think that do you think that the general people, the way it's expressed, you've used manifestation in your life. And I've used it in my life, and we use it all the time and stuff. But why are some really great at manifesting, just out of the world, and then others not so much?
Well, I don't necessarily believe that there's some that are really great at manifesting and there's some that aren't. I think we're all really great manifestors, and everything that's in our life, we are unfolding in a part of that manifestation process. However, I feel that there are some people who've really got on point with areas of their lives where they're highly congruent. And, we can see this displayed easily with people in careers, even in different aspects of love or even financial. However, I guess even with their purpose. But however, where I think that the pain and suffering that we all experience in some area of our lives is when there's an area that we really desire for it to match up in this way that we internally feel our life should be. And whether it be with love, whether it be with purpose, whether it be with money, whether it be with relationships, and I'm meaning relationships like family, friendships, our community, mm-hmm. our connection to each other. So I do believe that some people, I do believe that there's areas, and that's the conversation I want to have, where all of us have areas of our lives that we feel outside of this ability to have impact, to manifest into form, into the physical world, certain aspects of our experiences and aspirations we want, whether it be financial, mm-hmm. whether it be love. So I think we're all in this unfoldment, in this process where we all are manifesting. And it begins on the inside with a feeling, with an interaction, with our words, with our whole orientation. However, today, what I really want to like zero in on and highlight is how can we strengthen this power that we already have to manifest and get it to line up with the life we want to be living.
Yeah. So how can we maximize it? How can we speed up maybe the process of it? How can we make sure that what we're manifesting matches our desires? And and today it's all about turning it up to 11. How can we turn our powers of manifestation up to 11? I had this interesting thing happen. It was really something I learned from this just recently. My son's in from Michigan, and he's 17 years old, and I manifested some tickets to see Robert Plant.
All right, and how he manifested him is he actually bought them the minute they went on sale. He actually sat at the computer.
Yes, I was waiting. As soon as they came on the sale, I was like clicking the button, refresh, and I manifested some great tickets
and some great seats.
Yeah.
And if you had to pick like one of the iconic people that Jack Voorhees would really like to see in concert.
Oh yeah, I really dig Robert Plant.
Robert Plant would be way up there in his top 3 pick.
Mm-hmm. So, excited to have my son out for this concert, seeing it at the Santa Barbara Bowl, which is just
a unique and incredible experience in of itself.
Yeah, and I'd never been there before, and I was looking forward to it. So it's Saturday night, and we're having dinner on the pier in the Santa Barbara Pier and the wharf there, and it's a beautiful area. Ordered these lobster rolls, and I mean, it's just shaping up just to be a fantastic evening. And I just said, hey, I'm just going to kind of check in on Facebook, and I checked in where I was at and said, hey, my son and I are going to Robert Plant at the Santa Barbara Bowl. And then somebody responded, tonight is the Marleys. The Bob Marley, all his kids and grandkids, and all that music was going on there, and I thought she was crazy, at first. And then we checked, and sure enough, we had missed the concert.
Well, what's even ironic is this was not like once he bought the tickets, it was never talked about again. I mean, this was something he really energized and talked about plenty.
Yeah. Yeah,
with total enthusiasm.
Really excited to do it. When I found out that I was going to be able to do it, I sent Max a little video clip, of Robert Plant, and said, "Guess what? We're going to get to see him," and all this. I'm very excited. So, as soon as I found out about that, I had actually missed it, and it still stings a little bit. I got to be honest.
And they were not cheap seats either, because he waited till they went on sale and then bought
the best seats you could get.
Yeah, top, way at the top of the front of the line seats.
Beautiful, yeah. So I just felt like such a waste, and I was just kind of something came over me. I started to sweat.
He was quite crushed.
Yes. Yeah. So, Anne said, don't waste the evening.
Well, he said, what a waste, because these tickets were not any good anymore. And I'm like, well, don't waste the evening.
Yeah. So we decided to go and see if we could get tickets for the Marley concert, and we did. And my son had a fantastic time. And, I had a good time watching him have a fantastic time. And, the music was pretty good. It wasn't the standard reggae. It was kind of like heavier reggae. And then, I really dug it. So we ended up having a fantastic evening. But then, Ann and I were talking about how, as soon as I printed these tickets, I put them in a drawer, and I kept them safe
because they were so special. This is what makes the story so real in how it translates in our lives, because this was something so special that
Yeah.
you did not want to lose the tickets.
Yeah. So even though I could have always like printed more, I guess, but so instead of like putting them out, kind of displaying them or whatever, I stashed them away in my top little drawer and, right next to my passport and whatever. So if I would have kept them out, I would have known. I would have known that it was a Friday and not a Saturday night. And how do I relate this to manifestation? I think that it's there was a number of different things that really got me thinking about this and how it relates to manifestation. So yes, I manifested the tickets, but then I didn't use like the powers I had. I had the golden tickets.
Yeah.
But I didn't use the golden tickets. I was trying to hold on to them and cash them in at like the opportune time or whatever. And I think that comes down to like a place of lack. I think for me, I know that I'm a great manifester. I've manifested soulmate love. I've really done well at manifestation. I think an area where I can improve upon, how I can strengthen my powers of manifestation is by using them and not keeping them stored away. Like only when I really need it am I going to pull this tool out of my tool belt and use it, instead of using it as part of my daily routine. Just keeping it in a place where it's like readily available. And I think that leads to a place of thinking that there's lack. There may be not enough. Maybe I can only use these here and there, and I don't want to misuse them. Or it could be that maybe there's worthiness involved. It could be, for some of us, we could feel like I can't just manifest these things because there is this thing about struggle, that almost like we're set up that life should be a struggle. And the thing is, I think there is a place of ease and flow. I've been in a place of ease and flow when I've been in tune, when I've been on purpose, when I've been purposeful, when I've had lots of gratitude. Then I've watched these things just pop and flow into my life.
Well, I think that when we have one area, and it could be a specific situation, it could be a certain sort of category of our life. I think that when we're struggling in a certain area, that I think we start to think that we don't have it. Like, oh yeah, I was manifesting, now I'm not. The truth is I believe that we're already doing it in areas that are that come effortlessly and easily to us. I mean, when we look at our lives, there's areas that we are already really powerfully succeeding in our ability to manifest, influence, and intentionalize and be congruent with how we want to manifest. And there's other that it's almost so easy and effortless, we don't even see how we're doing it because we embody it. It's just who we are. It's part of what comes natural to us. And then I think there's other areas of our lives where there's a block or there's a barrier, or we haven't embodied, we haven't made that transition where we can embrace it, embody, and empower it with that sense of ease, with that sense of flow, where it just becomes a natural extension of who we are and how we manifest, in our lives.
So if we're already manifesting, but it's how are we manifesting? I mean, we can ask ourselves these questions. Am I manifesting? Am I just using my powers of manifestation just in the nick of time? Because we always seem to get fed. We always seem to get our needs keep getting met. But are we only manifesting or using our powers of manifestation in the ways that are most empowering when the pain is great enough? Then, or are we manifesting maybe even things that don't empower us? That's another thing. Sometimes we're pulling things into our lives where we're creating these things that don't even empower us, or we're thinking, or we only manifest small things. So, and maybe, like I talked about the worthiness part, maybe we don't feel worthy of really big things. Like it's this whole thing about like being humble too. It's like if I'm really the misconception I think about being humble is that, and I talk about this all the time. Being humble does not mean denying your greatness. Being humble does not mean that I can't have a tremendous amount of abundance in my life. I can still have a tremendous amount of abundance in my life and be grateful. There's very rich people that are very grateful people.
Well, I think it comes down to, are we negating our powers? Because it's all around us. It's available to us. And it's back to that point about what you told, that story about the concert tickets. Mm-hmm. It was already there. I feel that so much of us in our lives are so much closer to that which we desire to manifest, that until we get ourselves where we are not so fragmented, where we unblock that barrier that exists for us to even receive it, to even get into rapport with it. And I do believe we begin it by practicing in easy steps of progression how to embrace, embody, and empower those areas that feel more fragmented, that feel further away from our ability to influence powerful manifestation. So I know for like myself, health is really easy for me. Staying at the weight I want is really easy for me. Now, I know other people may struggle with that. They don't know how to manifest the body and the style of body that they want easily. There's blockages. But I also know, for me, that's easy. But there may be other people who have been able to do that with really deep, purposeful career ambitions. Mm-hmm. Much easier.
Yeah.
And then yet struggle with that category of, like, let's say, weight management. Now, so the question is, looking at our lives. For me, I know that it has, I've had success for sure, career-wise, and I had my own health and lifestyles newspaper. However, it all started out compromised, so it always felt compromised. And so there's this part of me that I'm strengthening right now in my life with how to manifest with powerful, much more powerful ways in order to influence my career ambitions and my writing ambitions that feel congruent, not fragmented, not compromised.
It's always goes back to that, is how you get there is how you stay there. And if you can get there on your own terms, in your own way that feels good to you, then you can stay there in that same way. And I think all too often we end up in these kind of compromised situations. And then in order to stay, successful, we have to stay in a compromised situation.
Well, so I feel like what's the gold? What is the thing that people can take right now from the show and really start influencing and strengthening their powers of manifestation is to understand there's an area of your life right now you're already doing it, where you already embody it so effortlessly and easily that you're able to influence and empower your world around you. And it's transferring that skill set, which will take practice and strengthening, into areas where it doesn't quite feel as easy, so it's already in us. That's more of what, you had those concert tickets, Jack, they were already there. But until we get ourselves in the whole configuration of how we're living our lives, where we're accessing this in a much easier way. And so your example was, get them out of the drawer, bring them out. Don't hold on so tight. Don't have it hidden away. Have it presented to the world in a certain way. All of our powers, all of the things that we want to be in the experience of manifesting.
Yeah, it's this. I think thing is, it's a place of lack when we don't use our powers, and that we're holding them back. But you made a great point about there's already areas that we are great at manifesting in, well, and it's identifying that. What areas are you great at manifesting in, and then ask yourself what areas would like improvement in,
strengthen.
Yeah, and. I think if you can really identify the places that you're really good at manifesting in, you'll find that they really line up with who you are, your your purpose, what you embody.
Yeah, they're organic, really. They're organic, they're sustaining, they're natural. I think that when something's more manufactured, it's not really truly this ease and flow to manifesting. It's more willful, it's more forced, it's much harder to sustain.
Yeah, whenever you got to force something to happen, it's just it goes back to how you get there is how you stay there. If it takes force, then it will continue to take force.
Well, I just want to give an example.
Or you don't get the results that you're desiring. Many times I forced something to happen, and then I didn't. Once I got that, it was unfulfilling.
Okay, so I want to go back to this simple example of what I'm meaning about how we're already doing it in areas in our lives that are effortless and easily because we are embodying it. And I want to, because this is the most powerful takeaway, that if you understand the power to embrace, embody, and empower that which you desire to manifest, then it becomes much easier and effortless, and it actually becomes quantum multiplied. I mean, you really speed it up and you really get into rapport and congruence. But when we were organizing the show, I had said to you, Jack, because you know a lot about this, I said to you, when you look at people who are heavily into addiction with drugs, this is like, this is an over-the-top example, but the principles still apply. I said to him, the people that are in that world and very
it doesn't seem so over the top to me because I experience it all the time when I go to the 12-step meetings and I see this constantly.
But people who aren't in that, it may seem like, oh, well, that's like separate than real life, but it isn't. It is real life happening. And that's the example I wanted to give, is that when people are addicted to drugs, the powers of manifesting that they go through in order to manifest a substance.
Yeah.
I mean, they are really living this place that they embrace it, embody it, empowering it. However, it may not be giving them the life that they want. And it is a much more manufactured kind of principle. That's why it's not a sustaining lifestyle. But when I was telling you that, you're like, oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, they find the ways and means. I mean, they make it appear out of like nowhere, and when they embody that, which is it's like a cancer kind of embodying. It's very, very unhealthy. But when that's their what they're embodying is that I must have drugs.
Or I must have this. I must have a drink. I must have this,
whatever
or whatever
it is, whatever substance, whatever. When they say, I must have it, then it's going to show up for them, and
they will
in
find
all
it.
kinds of ways. Yeah, it's like it's amazing the ways and means. No matter what, if they have to, if they have to come up with $500 and and they're completely broken, they have no means to do it, and all of a sudden, boom, they have it, and they've done it.
And what I was saying to you, Jack, is it's like when we were talking about that example, as I was saying, there's something that is so powerful in what's driving it, and that is when you get addictive substances to the body, it's literally embodied. It's embodied. It's driven from that place of being a place that's already, they're embodying that craving, that desire. And so now if we transfer that into healthy ways in our lives that are really congruent with our God actualized potential, the life that we're meant to live, honoring this gift of life, and then we embody it from that point, not from this physical, chemical reliance, but from this place where we're actually influencing and embodying the healthiness of the desires and this experience that we're meant to live. And we drive it from that point. It magically happens. It magically appears. We're in that right place at the right time, and it is happening, and it does unfold, and we do strengthen it. And I believe we're doing it already in areas of our lives. In certain areas, we're really good at it. And it's like it's transferring that to the areas where, like what you said, Jack, that we may have unworthiness blocking us. We may have our own belief in lack. And I know that you had a really powerful point it's like if it's like, how do you begin to strengthen it? You start to be present with it.
Yeah. Ann and I want you to become. We want all our listeners. We want everybody in the world to become powerful manifestors.
Well, that's the idea of the show. Is like, why do we want to strengthen our powers? Because we want to become masterful manifestors.
Yes.
And it's like, why do we want to become masterful?
That's something we work at on our own lives, and because if we don't become masterful manifestors, then we can often keep manifesting stuff that we don't want, and that leads to just kind of a place of not enough, things that we don't need, things that don't help us with our purpose. It's more of a revolving instead of an evolving state. And to become a masterful manifester, then it's about this really this clarity, this lining up with purpose. It's that we start really bringing in things into our life that support us.
Well, I do believe that on the deepest level, everybody desires to be a better, more masterful manifester. I really do.
Sure.
It doesn't matter what anybody's vocation is, what anybody's economic status is. Everybody wants to be more masterful at manifesting peace inside them, peace of mind, happiness, prosperity.
I know I do.
Love, purpose. I mean, everybody wants to wake up and manifest more of those core qualities that really give us the fullness of our experience. And it doesn't matter what race, what economic status, what nation, we all wake up with that same desire. So the sooner we can get into the business of becoming masterful with our manifestations and strengthening that power, I believe we get into the business of our life fuller.
Yeah. When you become a more masterful manifester, then it's easier to bring in this life-fulfilling life destiny, the things that we desire, the things that line up with us, and we can get into a place where it's just a very natural kind of way. And I really started tapping into some of this when I was taking a motorcycle trip through upstate New York, and it's like you get into this place where there's this zen in this motorcycle kind of thing. You're smelling all the smells, you're experiencing all the fluctuation in temperatures as you go up a mountain, down a mountain. And you can sense that a lake is coming up. You can, all the smells and everything, and this place of it's not the destination, it's the journey. And when you get in the experience of it, and you really get present with this experience, then what I needed just kept showing up where I needed. I mean, I forgot boots. When I left, it was really hot where I was at. I forgot boots. And we're driving along, and I'm thinking, man, I'd like some boots instead of these tennis shoes. I'd like something a little warmer. And there was this sale going on, and it was like a garage sale. And we stopped, and I went up to the guy, and I'm like, you don't happen to have any boots, do you? And he said, yeah, right over here. And he pulled out a box with that said LL Beam on them.
Yeah.
And he opened them up, brand new, size 13.
Which I was going to say.
Which is pretty rare for me, And they're brand new, exactly what I needed, right there when I needed them. And there was just over and over things like that just kept happening. So why did it happen? Well, it's because of getting into this really good place of being present with the manifestation.
Well, we're living in a custom-made universe, and life will show up custom-made for you, exactly what you need at exactly the right time when you realize that nothing is lacking. Everything you need is being taken care of. And what makes me think about that is that, I do feel really fortunate. I was raised in a really healthy collective mindset on health being our natural default, and that it's belongs to us. We're born with it. The power that made the body heals the body. So there isn't this fear about health as if something bad's going to happen and take away our health. And I know I'm tremendously lucky because culturally, that I know what exists is a lot of people have fear about health. They have fear of getting sick. They have fear that something bad's going to happen to their health. I know a lot of people struggle with that. And where I am really lucky that I was raised with this really powerful, strong consciousness that health is natural. Health is normal. Health is our God-given right. That is what the Creator intended us to experience. We were made from this healthy place and to thrive and be healthy. Now, when we go through different experiences that may feel like we're outside of health, for example, and it doesn't mean that I haven't experienced, a level of illness or sickness. It just means that I know that health still can be restored. Health can be natural. And that version of what we're capable of experiencing in this place of nothing's lacking. It's already available to us. And so I don't have to pray and wish for something that's not available to me. I can take whatever I have right now, which including was my experience with my leg, which was injured, and I can increase the vibrancy of health in my leg. And that's how I've been able to be highly functioning. So I can take whatever's custom made for my life, and I know that life can offer me back a custom-made experience. So it's like funny when you were telling the story about the motorcycle ride. I never heard the story about the boots before, Jack.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. There was so many things that showed up for me, right when I needed it.
But they're like custom made. It wasn't like you had to settle for a piece, for a pair of boots that
I didn't settle for some crappy boots. I had brand new LL Bean boots.
That were size
in
13,
yes.
Which are not even easy to find at stores sometimes.
Yeah, true.
Let alone just driving down the road.
I know, that's my experience. It's like,
okay, so
I thank God I stopped at 13. I was just thinking, so grateful. My son, his shoes stopped at 13 because he's 6'4". So he says, I think he's 6'5". But
anyway. Okay, so we're going to get into this place where our desires to manifest, nothing is missing. It's available to us, custom made right now with where we're at.
Yeah.
And we begin with our own increments of strengthening by realizing there's areas we're already doing it. It's already happening for us. And then now transferring that over so that we're not having to feel like we have to manufacture our manifestations with so much effort and it'd be so hard, that we can actually begin pulling it to us. We can begin flowing with it around us and available to us. And that's where we strengthen our powers of manifestation to become more whole with our life in areas. When I say whole, like as if not in areas that's missing and not in an area that's lacking, but in an area that's full.
Yeah. I think one of the key things to this manifestation with that we were talking about earlier is about being present with it. I think the thing is when we're present, then if we're not present, we're not there. If something is not present, it's not there. And if I'm not there, then what I want to show up I'm not there for it to show up to. So getting really present is important. Now, in there's been a lot of talk about getting present and living in the now. And I think on my motorcycle trip, I was absolutely there. Just every moment, just really there, not off some other place, not my thoughts weren't wandering, or I wasn't in front of a TV set or something else, just kind of numbing out.
Or even a car. Even as enjoyable as that is, it's a much more controlled environment.
Yeah, that is the thing about a car too. When people say, well, I travel by car, it's like, well, yeah, you're in this enclosed kind of capsule,
and the more
temperature controlled.
And the more something's controlled like that, the easier it is to dull the senses. The easier it is to dull that present time awareness.
Yeah, and when you're traveling by motorcycle, you have to be really sharp. You have to be really on it at all times. And
that's that's that state of if something isn't present in our life, and it's not there. How to start calling it in is to become present with it. So like if we were to, let's talk about how we can relate that now in just the different areas that matter to people. Well, number one is connection and purpose. If we're not present with being connected to our world around us and being on purpose with our world around us, and we're not there with it, it's hard to it's hard to manifest in this way that's full of connection and purpose if we're not even present to it right now.
Yeah, I believe that there's like this place of connection. We have to be connected in order to really receive what it is that we wish to receive. I mean, we're not going to get the message if we're not connected to, you know, the telephone lines. We can't pick up a phone and get that message. If we're disconnected, then things have a hard time showing up for us.
So then, okay, so we're talking about getting connected and then being on purpose with that. Because I think a lot of times people think purpose is about this certain career you get to, but purpose is really this way that you live, where you're on point with who you are, the gifts you have, and your world around you. And that then can translate into your career. It can translate into your family and your love and even your finances. But purpose really begins at that core center with connection. So if we looked at our lives and we said, okay, what is not present for us? Now, it could be an area of health. It could be an ideal body that we want to be living in, or it could be a certain vibrancy with our health, or it could be also a certain level of financial freedom or financial sovereignty that we want in our life. If it's not present, how do we begin to increase and strengthen our powers of manifestation?
Yeah, and I think it all starts from the inside first.
Well, then you start getting present with it.
Yeah.
Right now, before it's even there.
You know, many. You know, I've heard this over and over, and I've thought this myself at times during my life. It's like, oh, I wish I could just win the lottery. Well, that hardly anybody gets rich by winning the lottery. I mean, I think you have a better chance of getting struck by lightning twice than winning the lottery. More people have gotten into this good place with themselves, gotten into some kind of business, and created the wealth that way. Created
the odds
themselves from the inside, from who they are, and their ideas became things that became tangible, that took on their own energy and
that become real.
These
are lines out of your Empower Now audio that anybody can get. All you have to do is opt in on Empower 11, and there's some lines in there on some really powerful transforming audio lines on how to become masterful in your manifesting.
Yeah.
But back to this place where you were saying about winning the lottery, and then there's also the odds are not that great because it's more based on a random manufactured kind of state to get that.
Yeah.
Where the odds are more in your favor for those that have gotten in this good place and gotten in rapport with the manifestation that they wanted to create financially for themselves. So the odds are in our favor if we do that.
Yes.
We follow what has been done before. And if you look at anybody who's living purposeful lives with love, with prosperity, with good family connection, relationships. I mean, these are all the things that determine that even if someone wants to win the lottery, it all comes down to we really, at the end of the day, we really just truly want this core experience of happiness.
Yeah, think back to a time in your life, too, that you have manifested something. Look back at something that maybe a lot of other people said, no, like we said, that's not going to happen. But you were able to make that happen anyway. That was those times when you tapped into this place.
That good place, yeah.
Yeah. So, if you've done it before, and we all have,
yes,
then we can do it again, and we can do it better.
Yes,
we can do it more powerfully when we get really intentional about what we're doing, why we're doing it, and that it actually makes sense. And it isn't something that we're trying to manifest that is just some, and I use this term a lot, shiny object. Big deal, shiny object. Once you get that shiny object, is that really going to empower you? So what do you want to manifest in your life? And what do you want to manifest in your life?
Well, first I want to talk about there's a new moon coming up, and the new moon is all about bringing in the new.
Yeah.
Bringing in manifesting on the new.
And you just did the full moon ceremony,
which is all about
and you did a whole teleseminar on that and everything. And if you guys haven't checked that out yet, make sure to check it out.
it's on annribley.com.
Yeah.
So that's available for free as a fast track on how to do a full moon ritual, which is how to release any blockages in your life.
Yeah.
Well, on the new moon, what's really interesting is when you ask me what is it that I want to manifest, and it has to do with very specific career ambitions with my writing. Actually, I'm saying career, but I mean this has been my quest. This has been my quest through my life is to manifest my creative projects that deal with writing, and in the multimedia, which is what we're doing with this radio show. I mean, this is one of it, but specifically like this, we're getting ready to work on a book proposal. I'm going in while my kids are at camp. I'm going in, getting off the grid on everything and just going to go into seclusion and work on this book proposal. But what I want to manifest is...
You mean you're not going to be checking in on Facebook? Like,
no, if I'm going...
Really?
I'm going into powerful manifestation time to
like you're going to go to your profile on Facebook and it's going to say "gone fishing" or something like that.
No, gone writing.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, really bringing forth. It's funny. Last night, when your son and Max and Cody were looking up all these books on Goosebumps, because Cody's really into Goosebumps, and
which is some kind of kids book stuff.
Yes,
right?
and
series of books.
And Max said, "Boy, that author's awful busy because it's just tons and tons and tons." And I said, "Yeah, that's what I want to be saying about myself." So, what do I want to be manifesting? I want to be manifesting lots of written books and material to help empower people's lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I just want a red Ferrari. No.
Your shiny object, huh, Jack?
No, the thing is, I mean, if there's nothing wrong with having the red Ferrari. Nothing wrong with that at all. Right now, I want to manifest things that are, that are going to help me with my vision and help me with my creativity and help me be in this way. I mean, I'm a creator and I love to create. And the more that I can have more things and more tools and stuff to use to create, the better. And then those are the things that I'm manifesting into my life.
Well, okay, so back to this new moon thing that I was just talking about is that that's been predominantly my main focus. That, if I look at my whole life and it's like, what are the areas that I want to bring in new manifestations in? And so every new moon, we do a ritual as a family where we're calling forth, we're lighting a prayer candle, and we're intentionalizing while the planets are in this perfect alignment to increase our own powers to manifest and clarity. Is the area that I've been working the most on, which actually is refreshing for me, is to see that it's really a lot about my career ambitions and my writing ambitions. There was a time in my life where there was a lot on the plate, from different financial aspects to my home life to, through. So I've watched this evolution. So that's really right now what's my hot point on my radar to manifest, is to really get into this powerful place with my writing ambitions.
Yeah. So that's something that you use the new moon ceremony, and you're actually going to be doing another teleseminar on that. So
which is on the manifesting part of it. Yes.
Yeah. So check out Empower 11 at Facebook. Check out empower11.com and look for the details of things coming up. And you can also go there and listen to all of our shows. And there's a lot of stuff going on there, so make sure you check that out. But I know another thing that you use a lot, Anne, is mantras.
Yes, I was going to get to that. Was one of my next things. I truly believe that our life is a living mantra. Mm-hmm. Our life is a living mantra, and it's how we're acting. It's what we're repetitively saying. If we just become an observer and start to pay attention to what's coming out of our mouth, because that's really the speaker system that's telling us what's really playing on the inside, which comes down to
And it again goes back to when God said, "Let there be light," and there was light.
yeah. So if you want to know where you're at in your life, just listen to the speaker system that your mouth is to the world, and you'll see: are you coming from love? Are you coming from lack? Are you coming from prosperity? Are you coming from gratitude? Are you coming from not enough? I mean, you can just see all of these places that your living mantras are repetitively pushing out this energy to the world.
Wouldn't it be something if somebody could get a script of what they had said the day before? Like every word they had said the day before, and they could go through and review it. And what an eye-opening experience that could be for them.
Well, that's the whole point with in Power 11, the second power is what's the message you're carrying, is till we get into this really aware state to see what is actually, am I embodying in my cells? What is this message that I'm carrying that I'm actually pushing out to the world through my actions and my interactions? And that's your words.
Yeah, and we have a wealth mantra meditation on iTunes. So it's called the Empower Wealth album. So check that out.
And that is about getting into that natural state, the same way health is. It's getting into this natural state that wealth can come without my asking. I do believe that we can ask for what we want in life, but I think that the misconception with manifesting is people are so in the business of begging and pleading life to give them what's missing versus getting in the business of owning that place that we can embrace, embody, and empower from a place of gratitude of already what's here, and then allowing it to show up in its own custom-made way for us in our lives.
Yeah, and I'm a real believer in asking for it, because that's something that I used in my life. There was a time of transition that I've talked about many times on this show in early 2010, and there was things I didn't know how I was going to get for myself. So I would write it. There was a place on this big whiteboard I had, and there was a place that said "Ask from Source." And I would write these things on there, and as soon as I'd write them on there, I'd have to erase them because they would just show up. And then I'd write a little thank you note, so that's a practice of gratitude, which I think is very powerful. And I'd put that up next to my whiteboard. I would hang that up. And then what I realized about it was getting really intentional, or really specific was important. I became good at being open to wherever these things might come from, but also I needed to get really specific, that I found out in a hurry, because one of the things was I wanted daily checks in the mail. And what happened is I ended up having a job where I got a side gig doing some billing for this lawn company that I had built a website for, and they were sending all their checks to me, and then I was doing the billing. I was doing the bookwork and depositing their checks, so there was daily checks in the mail coming, but they weren't made out to me, which was not what I really was asking for. So I really had to get specific about what I was asking for. Daily checks in the mail made out to me.
Okay, so when you got specific, how long did it take for you to start manifesting that way?
Oh, it was boom. I mean, it was mind-blowing, just thousands of dollars in checks that
were being made out to you.
Yes.
And so that's how quickly the custom-made answer showed up for you.
Yes.
And
So yeah, I am believing in asking for it. It's not begging for it. It's asking for it, and then once I put it on that place, I didn't have to keep asking for it. I didn't.
That's my place about begging.
Oh God, please, I need it. Please. It was just I asked. I got
the
specific,
tuning fork,
and that's it.
It's the tuning fork.
Yeah.
Where you ping it, you get into resonance with it. And it's gonna ping back to you in this beautiful resonance back to you. That's that custom-made manifestation. Yep. Now, back to when you were saying that you would ask, and then you learned right away that you'd get specific because you had these needs that you didn't know how they were going to be met. That was the same thing that I did with mantras. Is I just came out of my divorce. Actually, I just recently wrote this whole love story down. It's a shorter version of mine and yours love story on my website, but it's how it was all based on a mantra. I feel like I manifested soulmate love.
Love will come to my home.
Yes, that was what I would say to myself. Came out of my divorce, and every time I'd think about a relationship, it just seemed too complicated, too hard for me to even think about how could that transpire in my house. So what I did to quiet my mind is I would just say a mantra: love will come to my home, love will come to my home. And every time my mind would go somewhere wandering about trying to worry about the future or the past, I would say, it was almost like I gave myself assurance that, like, you don't need to worry about this, Anne. Love will come to my home. Love will come to my home. And I would say it over and over again every time my mind went somewhere. So I believe we can create these power mantras.
And then I had these voices in my head saying, I need to go to Anne's home. Yeah. So when she told me about this, and when I finally came out to California to be with her, I brought her flowers, and I wrote her a note that said, love has come to your home.
Yeah, so it was surreal, how we really truly can manifest. And now, people always tell stories, with other people who are either starting again with love relationships later in life, or however, life has transpired. They're always like, I look at Anne, she was in this small town by herself, but how life gave me my custom made soulmate for me, and I didn't have to force it or work so hard at it. I was able to strengthen my powers of manifestation by really living that mantra. I really feel that way, that our lives are living mantras. And just by getting in tune with that mantra of how we're interacting and saying to the world, and what is our speaker system that we're really giving out, I believe that we can begin to strengthen our powers of manifestation effortlessly and easily.
So one of the things that is used so often is just a powerful tool for manifestation is visualization. Now, so much has been talked about this. So much has been talked about the power of visualization. And I think for me, what I've really tapped into with this is to really make this happen, make this visualization really happen. It got to this place of ownership where it was actually an embodiment. So here's my take on visualization. I visualize it so clearly that so strongly that I get the feeling I've already done it. And the feeling is the important part, because visualization can be all heady. And when we transfer that heady into the body, when we embody it, then these things, this tool really works in manifestation. For me, I found this clarity, visualization, very, very clear, to the point where I feel it. I focus on the feelings of the experience. And then I become open to how this experience presents itself to me. And I've used this example before. Maybe the visualization is driving down the coast in this convertible sports car with the wind blowing in my hair. But where the actual experience might show up for me is galloping a horse down the beach on the ocean with the wind blowing in my hair. So being open to how the universe will conspire to have this visualization show up for me is important.
Yeah, or it could be ziplining through the mountains. That's one of the experiences his son was wanting to have this summer. But we got to wait for our youngest to get to 75 pounds, and then he can zip line through the mountains with all of them. So we're going to wait for him. Yeah,
we were thinking about putting bricks in his pockets, but,
He kept visualizing himself heavier. Yeah. He kept going on the scale because he has to be 75 pounds to do the zip line. And so every day he kept checking the scales. It's 73 today. Oh, it's 75 today.
So cute.
So we can get into this feeling by, if you just started actually coming up with what are the core feelings. Like, for me, when our mantras, our visualizations can really supercharge, can really strengthen our powers of manifestation when we just get clear. I mean, a simple mantra, love will come to my home, that's also a feeling. That's a
Yeah.
feeling. Love will come to my home. You know what that feeling represented to me? What that mantra represented? It meant I didn't have to go working so hard to find it. It was going to come. I am love. Love will come here. It'll come to my home. That's really the feeling that I had when I would say.
And that's matching up too, because you are love, so naturally love will come to you.
Yeah. So it's like that area of our lives that we want to, infuse more prosperity, more purpose, maybe better health, maybe a better ideal weight for ourselves, ideal fitness. It's getting into that feeling of what does that feel like to us? Visualizing what that being in that place, and what is that, naming that feeling, acclaiming it, proclaiming it, owning it, and having this mantra, even if it's 2 words, even if it's 3 words, a sentence that has power to us, custom made for us. Life will bring us that custom made experience to us.
So this thing about getting really intentional about what you're manifesting, make sure that it really matches up for who you are. Because all too often we get caught up in the day-to-day life stuff, and we don't really get present to the things that we want to intentionalize in our lives, that we want to manifest. And a lot of the slowing down is very important. So this place of meditation, when you practice meditation, this can help you in all these areas to be present and to be really still, which I think we all too often don't do enough. I know in my life, things can get busy, and there's lots of thoughts going in my head, and there's lots of stuff going on, and it isn't until I can really come back to center that I can really be on my game.
Well, I look at it like, it's a pool of water, and there's all these shiny coins at the bottom. And those shiny coins are those desires and experiences that we wish to get a hold of and be a part of our lives and create. And when there's all this splashing around in the water, it's really hard to see the shiny coins and exactly where to go and how to get them. And when we get still and we allow the water to become calm, we know exactly where the shiny coin is. We know exactly where how to get them, and it becomes effortless and easy. So meditation is a way to calm the waters of the mind. And it's a way to grab a hold of those feelings that matter to us, those shiny coins, those jewels of who we are, and begin to get into rapport and present those to the world and be in this experience of.
So, Ann, are you ready to do our meditational moment? We're approaching the end of the hour here.
Yeah, I just want to recap that the most powerful 3-step approach that we can use in order to strengthen our powers of manifestation is to look at where we're at in our lives today and ask ourselves, with what we're capable of doing, what can I do right now to embrace, embody, and empower my ability to manifest what I desire? And we gave the tools like visualization is a way to begin to embrace, embody, and empower, creating mantras,
Getting present.
Creating gratitude right now for
asking for it,
and getting into this rapport for it. So I just want to make sure that everybody is giving themselves the chance to strengthen and to become into alignment with that. And as we come up upon this new moon, it's a great way to begin to write it right in our lives and to light that candle of truth and to become what we desire to create and increase those manifestations. So,
on to our meditational moment.
Yeah, so I ask you, wherever you're at, to just take a moment, breathe in, breathe out, and allow this power of manifestation to strengthen in you. By today going to this place and asking yourself and being into this alignment and core desire with yourself, today I strengthen my powers of manifestation. I let go of the suffering to what is missing. I let my words and actions reflect the living mantra I desire my life to represent. I bring in closer to me the presence of my manifesting powers. By bringing into the present that which isn't present, I intentionalize the feelings that I want, that I desire, with gratitude, with clarity, and most importantly, I embrace, I embody, and I empower the powers that are already present and available for me right now to manifest a life that matches my desires. I invite you all to tune in next week and to have an empowered week. Get who you are on the inside to match the life you want to live on the outside, and turn your life up to 11. Strengthen your powers of manifestation. I look forward to continuing the conversation with you next week.
So until next week, have an empowered week, and the conversation continues at empower11.com.